they were just really white, and their problems were really white. Hey everyone, welcome to this video. So in my January wrap up, when I say my reading has been reinvigorated, I truly mean in 2020 it was a dry, deserted walnut, but now the start of this year has been just amazing. I couldn't have asked for better. I have 8 books here for you to talk about and basically suggest all of them, almost all of them. We'll talk about that. So the first book that I finished in 2021 was the Soul Majestic. I have it right here. It is by Ferret Steinmetz, and I was reading it because my partner got it for me for my birthday in December. He had read it and really liked it, so he got it for me, and I really liked it. So basically, this book is about this teenager named Kenna, and it's like a sort of somewhat, I wouldn't call it sci-fi, it just takes place in the future. In space, like on sort of like a small man-made planet, a very kind of poor planet. Kenna is in this family of philosophers, is what they call it, where basically he in life needs to discover his philosophy, his like eternal line that he lives his life by, kind of like Buddha or something, where it's like his parents' philosophies are like feed the masses or take people out of the darkness, something really, you know, inspiring like that. He needs to discover what that is in himself, like it's something definite. He feels a lot of pressure about it, and then he runs into this really like fancy ass restaurant called the Soul Majestic. So that's all I'm gonna say. It was really never slow to me, but it wasn't also like a page turner. It was like a nice constant burn, and I really loved the writing. It's all about cuisine, so in some ways it reminded me of Ratatouille when he eats that strawberry and that piece of cheese and he shoves it in his mouth and the like swirls are going all around. That's what this book reminded me of. It really makes you hungry, and it's so deliciously described, and everything about it was unique and amazing. I would totally suggest reading it. Okay, the second book I finished in January was, oh my god, you guys are gonna learn. Basically, I have Noelle Gallagher to thank for, I think, all of these books. I was just following her reading list, and other booktubers, but she really knew what she was talking about, and this book is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, and it's exactly what I needed. It's steamy and also has a lot of substance. Basically, The Kiss Quotient is about this woman named Stella Lane who is autistic but does not want her life to be like labeled in that way. So the whole like plot starts because her parents want her to make babies soon, and she's like, you know, like I've got like a very fruitful, prosperous job that I'm good at and I love, like why can't that be enough? But she starts to realize like she does want a good partner and sex life, and she has always thought that the sex life is what has interfered with that she is not a good enough person at intercourse. So she hires a man of the night to help teach her some moves. And so it's in that way the author describes it as a pretty woman, like gender bend. The best thing about this is I read the author's note at the end, and it literally was so moving. While I was reading it, I kept asking myself, like, is it possible that it's like ignorant for me to read this and support this if the author herself isn't autistic? Like, I didn't know if she was, obviously. But she, in her author's note at the end, talks about how she went on this whole journey in writing this book about like discovering that a lot of autistic women don't get diagnosed until later in life because they are taught from a young age to mask it. So she was like officially diagnosed and really related to all of these parts of Stella. It's this like crazy empowering journey for her to like truly know herself and know she's not alone, and it's freaking beautiful. Like, this is quality. The story is amazing, but also the romance, I would also consider graphic, so you're not into that, maybe don't pick this up. I read it in a night, and I'm gonna read her second book. That's like a spin-off of this, of one of the those smaller characters in the book. Can't wait. Oh, I love it, and the representation is amazing. Okay, the third book I finished, oh my god, another amazing one that I'm sure everyone knows about because it was on everyone's list for the best of 2020, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. If you don't know, basically this storyline generally is about these two twin sisters who leave their small hometown when they're 16 together, and kind of follows their life after that, as well as their kids, basically. It's a book that discusses racism in a different way. It's a book about family and masking and all like pride, and is so beautifully written. Like, when I was reading this, all I was thinking about was how like I'm ready for this to be a movie, because the way it was written was like it was a movie. Like, I was picturing it in my brain. I was like, oh my god, you're weaving this story for me. It was beautiful. It made me cry. It's like a page turner in my opinion. I don't know if everyone feels that way, but like I want to recommend it to all of my family. But everyone, you see how they're tied together. Also, okay, everyone was dying about this book, and when I was reading like the first quarter of it, I was like, yeah, it's good, but it's not like, ugh, I'm dying good. And then I started dying. So it, like, I don't want to overhype it, but it's just really a smart woven story and also unique, and I loved it. Okay, the fourth book that I finished in January. Okay, this one is also a lot of people's favorites, and I don't know why I didn't give it like the hype it needed. I was like, oh, okay, whatever, like it's available in the library, I'll read it. And I've heard about this ever since PeruseProject was talking about it, but for whatever reason, I think like I looked at the cover and I was like, nope, not gonna like it. It's Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This book really reminds me of Life as We Knew It. This book really reminds me of the book Life as We Knew It, which I read when I was a lot younger, but I think I haven't read like a sort of apocalypse plague book since then. I mean, yeah. And so I really kind of went into this blind, which maybe I wouldn't suggest. Super warnings during COVID times, because basically this book is about a plague overtaking planet Earth, and like 99.9% of the world dies very quickly. So the first couple chapters, when it's like initially starting, I was feeling a little freaked out because it's like the people trying to get groceries and do all these things, and I was like, oh no, were we close to this? But no. And then it kind of mostly jumps to 20 years later, and we're mostly following this theater and orchestra troupe, which I really relate to, with theater being like my main bread and butter. Yes, it's very similar to The Vanishing Half in the sense that we follow these characters and somehow they're all related, and you're just like weaving this tapestry of, oh, that's so delicious. And it's also really beautiful. And if you think you can get past like that initial like fear feeling, it's actually the most beautiful to read it right now, because what I took away from it was just being grateful for what we have, even in these trying times, because like obviously when that much of the population passes away, like hella shit is crazy. Like you're feeling guilt of like, why wasn't it me? And then you're dealing with crazy people who are like, God chose us. And also like people are like, wow, remember phones? Remember airplanes? Remember air conditioning? And I'm like, oh God, all right, I'm glad that we still have society. Even if I gotta stay home, like whatever, I got the internet. So it's amazing. And also just very interesting. And like a little, I'm trying to equate it, like a little, The Walking Dead-y, just because like they gotta like go through houses and deal with bad people. So very intriguing. Highly recommend, as long as you're not triggered. And yeah, you should read it. Okay, the 5th book I finished in January. Oh, like why? This is why I get so excited about January. Just good book after another. Like, it was amazing. Okay, it was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. So basically, this book is about Eleanor Oliphant, obviously. She is this grown woman who is on the spectrum and lives this very pattern life. She goes to her job as like an office administrator or something similar to that, and does her job, doesn't really talk to the other people, and they're always really like freaking mean to her. I'm like, this is a great example of adults being bullies and not being empathetic. And she goes home, she reads or listens to the radio, and then her whole weekend is filled with drinking vodka. And so basically this book is about her making a friend, and the whole book focuses on how she's doesn't have the same kind of social awareness and cues that other people do, or some people do, and she struggles with that in interacting with people. And it's finally like her life has kind of been that forever, and she's found this routine to keep her like whole, and you kind of find out she has trauma inflicted upon her from a young age that's like slowly unwrapped, and it's beautiful. I can't emphasize that enough. So when you first are reading her, you're kind of like, she's an interesting cookie, not really nice to people. Like, she was written in such a way where you're like, I don't think I'm supposed to like her. And I think authors should do that more often. Like, to be the main character and be like, I don't really like you. You're not that nice of a person. But there's reasons for that, and kind of delve into it, and you realize like why her personality is this, why her interactions are like this, and you empathize, and it's beautiful. Trigger warnings about mental health and like family trauma. I would just say read it. I would just say read it, honestly. The next book. Oh my god. Banger after banger. The next book I read was Circe by Madeline Miller. Circe is a story all around Greek mythology. I wasn't familiar with Circe's story, but I am a really big Greek mythology nerd, and I recognized a lot of other things. The Lightning Thief is like what got me into reading, and it also has changed me as a human being because I'm just entire. I just know for a fact that I wouldn't be who I am today without Greek mythology. So, if you're not a fan of Greek mythology, don't read it. And I also can understand, like, even if you're a fan, there are times where there are a lot of Greek names and you're like, who's this? Who's that? Like, if I hadn't read the Odyssey, if I wasn't familiar with Medea, it might have been a little like, okay. But Circe basically is a half like god, half nymph. So she's immortal. And it's taking you through like hundreds of years of her life. And she's got a shit life. Like, her parents freaking hate on her. Her siblings freaking hate on her. And she's, well, this is, I'm sure, part of the synopsis. She's banished to an island. And, you know, sometimes she's permitted to leave to do like a quest for her parents, and oftentimes what the book is about is people stumbling across her island and meeting her. It's amazing, like the way that the Greek mythology is once again woven with the just regular, like, in my opinion, female empowering story is amazing. It fucks with my mind with the idea of eternity, where I'm like, oh, maybe it wouldn't be good. Maybe it wouldn't all be roses and daisies. And also how, as a society, if you were immortal, like gods are, how, like, basically all the gods are fucking assholes. They live for people being unhappy, not only because, like, if their town of citizens are sad, they'll like praise you and like offer you up goodies, and then you'll do like a tiny sprinkling of help, and they'll be like, oh my god, so grateful. That gods literally like live for that. And they also live for drama and like never actually connecting with each other and just like being the most powerful. Like, that's what they live for. And I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like, if they have no reason to fear like death, and when they have to deal with pain, they really fear pain. But like, I was like, why are there no gods that are like, yeah, I'm gonna live eternally like Buddha, like I'm gonna like live eternally, just be nice because I can be. Like, none of them were like that. And I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But it also made me really sad. But also, like, it really made a lot of sense and made me think about it a lot. And it's just this whirlwind of a saga that I could not have found more beautiful. And I wish it went on forever. And I'm gonna read Achilles, like, immediately. Noelle, Gallagher, please don't watch this part. The next one is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Okay, so this is like her favorite book, so I had high expectations for it. I bought it instead of reading it from the library, and regret. I mean, this is basically a cute romance, but I found it to be lackluster. I mean, it's about this guy and this girl working both as like assistants to the boss. They're like co-assistants at this publishing company, and they're arch enemies. Like, just from the get-go, it's very like, she's small and petite and needs help being put in a chair, and this man is Clark Kent, the like biggest, muscliest, handsomest man there is, but they hate each other. They don't like each other. And like, there were just literally no surprises. Not one. Well, maybe one. Okay, if you don't want spoilers, maybe just leave now. Just skip ahead. So, authors do this thing in romances where they're like, she looked at him and he cringed. Or she looked at him and he got this weird look on his face. And we, as the lead girl, are supposed to be like, oh, he hates her because he looked at her weird. But it was so obvious that, like, he was looking at her weird because he liked her. Like, I was never like, he doesn't like her. And I mean, he is mean to her. Don't get me wrong about that. That's another problematic thing I have. Let me just say it, spoiler. The whole thing about his character is she's like, oh, light bulb moment at the end of the book. He's shy. He's mean to me because he's shy. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Like, there were times where they were very mean to each other. And I just don't care. I was very apathetic as I was going through it. I needed to go to other books that were like a lot more jumpy to really finish this. And it's not even that steamy. Like, after reading the Kiss Quotient, I was like, this is nothing. Like, maybe if I had read it first, I would have been like, ooh, romantic. But instead I was like, So, yeah. I have it as a 3 out of 5 stars right now, but I think that might be a little nice. That's just my opinion. I can totally understand why someone would really like this book. Just, like, I don't think it's at all standing out in my mind. They were just really white, and their problems were really white. And I'm shy too, but that doesn't mean I'm an asshole to people. So, yeah, like, I just truly thought they were mean to each other a lot. And also, once they finally did start, like, physically touching each other and clearly liking each other, the idea that they kept up this long charade of, like, I can't love you was, like, so, like, why? Why can't you guys just be happy? I don't get it. I don't get why she's like, I love him now. I can admit to myself that I love him, but if he gets the position, I have to quit, and we can't ever see each other again. I'm like, why? And then the book freaking ends, and you don't even see the interview or if she gets the job. Because if she doesn't get the job, she basically wants to, like, it's, like, assumed that she probably, but, like, it made me so angry because I was like, this whole book where she's supposed to be, like, empowered and, like, I'm not going to choose a man over the job I love. And you're like, okay, girl, yes. But then you don't even see her get the position. It makes you feel so much like, okay, so this was just about her fucking the man. They live happily ever they live happily ever after, and then that's the end of the book. She doesn't, you don't care about knowing if she got the job position. You don't care if he ever meets her family or if they, like, really make sure to get along with each other. It's so... Okay, there was one good moment. I finally was like, okay, this is cute. When she got sick, I was like, all right, this is like romance where a woman can be like throwing up and a man doesn't care and just hangs out with you. Read it if you like cute, fluffy, stereotypical cliche romances. Okay, last book that I have for January, as far as I can tell, I'm like in the middle of 3 right now. It's Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson. And this was like a totally, so finally this is on someone else's like recommend list. Definitely suggests like a lot of middle grade readers to have to read this. It's about this early high school, she's a junior in high school, named Jade. This junior African-American woman in high school who goes to a mainly white school pretty far from her home. She wants so dearly to go travel abroad. She's learning Spanish, like each chapter is named like something in Spanish and translated in English to show she's learning Spanish, because she's like, that opens doors, that opens opportunities, and like that's what I need in life. And it really just makes you empathize with someone who doesn't have a lot and looks on the bright side of it and really deals with a lot of stigma. Like, it's her point of view is not about like outright racism. It's offhanded bigotry. It's about her being put into this program called Woman to Woman, which is this opportunity for young Black women to have a grown adult Black woman as a mentor to take them to new opportunities like the museum or the opera. The book is about how she is tired of only ever being given support, but never being believed in that she can give support. It's really beautiful. And she's an artist, she's a collagist, and I think you might be able to listen to this on an audiobook, and I heard it was good. Yeah, it's really inspiring and made me emotional, and it really makes you think, oh my god, that was it. I'm an amazing month, and I'm sorry that my summaries are crap and I just kind of ramble, but I love talking about books. So I would just hand you this book list on a platter and say, read all of them except The Hating Game. Read them and tell me what you think. I would talk about this for ages. I would. So just read them. Just read them and let me know what you think. Or if you have read them, let's talk about it. And I love you. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.